a motion to enter into executive session?
I move to enter into executive session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, or legal, property acquisition issues, and student issues. Maryland Local Government Code Articles Section 9-512A, 1, 2, 6, and 10.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. The Board of Education will now enter into executive session. The Board of Education will reconvene at this time. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right now.
Good morning. Welcome everyone to the Board of Education meeting this morning. Please turn off your cell phones if you haven't done so already. Thank you very much. I'd like to make a couple introductions this morning. We have Anna Laughlin with us, President of the Education Association of St. Mary's County. Good morning, Anna. We also have Liz Purcell-Leskinen, Maryland State Education Association UniServe Director. Liz, how are you? And we also have Faith Abernathy. Faith, how are you? Faith, as we all know, is the President of the Collective Education Association of St. Mary's County. How did I say that? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
No.
Approve the agenda as consented.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second?
Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. All right, board reports. Sarita, we'll start with you this morning.
My first event as the student board member was this past welcome picnic for the new teachers. I enjoyed being the student member so far, and I'm looking forward to this upcoming school year.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Mrs. Crosby?
I spent most of my time working on the interim superintendent. Okay, I went to the new teacher welcome that was held here in this building and met a lot of new people, new individuals that are all enthusiastic, which I was and I still am. And then I went that night with my husband. We went to the new teacher picnic, and I again met some of the same people that were here in the morning, who were here in the afternoon. And I look forward to a great year with these talented individuals.
Thank you. Mr. Matthews?
Yes, sir. As Ms. Crosby just stated, it's been awful busy around here. Everybody's been working hard. I just want to take a second and thank Dr. Raspa for all the hours and all the I dotting and T crossing he's been done through the whole intern process. And I also want to thank the rest of my board members for hanging in and all of us working hard and moving forward to the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Washington?
Good morning. It was my honor and pleasure to attend a new teacher orientation, which was held at the Forest Center. It was a wonderful group of teachers. Some of them were former graduates of St. Mary's County Public Schools who wanted to come back. It was a pleasure to see them. I knew many of these students when they were in elementary school. So it was just a joy. And then we had the, I call it the cookout at the Leonardtown Wharf, and they brought their families, husbands, spouses, significant others. It was a wonderful event, and they are just energetic, enthusiastic. They just can't wait to get to work, and we are so glad that they applied to St. Mary's County Public School, and it is our honor to have them here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Washington. Mrs. Allen?
I recently attended the Glossy Awards, which are awards designed to acknowledge the hard work that our building service workers put into making sure that our schools are shining, clean, glowing, not just for the first day of school, but throughout the school year. And some years ago, the individuals in facilities decided that it was important to recognize those dedicated and hardworking individuals, and they did so by developing the Glossy Awards. And it has been something that I and other board members look forward to on a yearly basis. And usually that event is held at the end of the school year, towards the end of June, to recognize the work that's gone on throughout. But with the budget issues that we faced, we were not certain how those awards would go forward this year, and so we waited until things were clarified and held them actually after the beginning of this fiscal year. And we were at Chopticon High School. I appreciate that they were willing to host the event, and congratulations to those hardworking individuals who were recognized. We see many of the same faces year to year, and they don't just recognize who has the most sparkling building, but who has worked hard to improve and whose improvement has been consistent. And I think it's important for us not just to recognize the individuals who are at the top of their game within their buildings, but also those who are making such a concerted effort to improve and what it takes to accomplish that. So congratulations to all. And I might also add, in your recognitions, Dr. Raspa, I happen to notice that Mr. Jack Hazuda, who is here today, is representing the Retirees Association. And so thank you, Mr. Hazuda. You have been in attendance at a number of our meetings recently, and you represent that group very well, and it's an important group to represent. So thank you for being here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Allen. Of course, I also attended the Glossy Awards and the new Teachers Orientation Ceremony, and it's always nice to go to the new Teachers Orientation Ceremony. It's always a beautiful gathering, all those bright faces, you know. Can't wait to get started, get to the classrooms. And what was really interesting was the number, and Dr. Martirano might want to pick up on this, the number of people that are graduates from St. Mary's County schools that have gone away to college, have become teachers, and have come back to the county. And that was really refreshing.
Right.
In other words, our system, our processes that we've tried to put in place over the years is working. It's working. People are actually coming back home to involve in the community, to make our community better for kids, make our school system a great school system, and to improve our community. And that was really refreshing. And I'm so pleased that that's happening. Dr. Martirano.
Okay, board members, good morning. It's great to see you. Several items. As you can imagine, this time of the year, the school system is extremely active. You know, in that sense, I've started, I think, my report in June. People always ask what we do all summer, you know, in that sense. And so there's a lot of training, curriculum writing, and at this period of time, we are ramped up truly, you know, in the center of the storm as we prepare for everything that's occurring for the first day of school on August 20th, which is rapidly upon us. So I have some items I want to convey regarding all those activities. First and foremost,
just received word that we received the 21st Century Grant proposal for Park Hall was selected for funding by MSDE for a total of $133,000. This is again a grant funding for a 3-year period program to be named BEST After School Program, Becoming Empowered Students Together. So we're very pleased about that. Mark Smith, who's not with us today, has shared that information with us, so we're very proud of that, and we'll convey more information as the more specifics come about that. I want to congratulate the Great Mills High School bot-ball team who won the international tournament in Los Angeles, California recently. They competed against 62 teams from around the country and around the world. They earned first place overall trophy and have the distinction of being world champion for 2014. World champion. I mean, come on, round of applause for that. Wake up, people. On that note, the team consisted of graduates Will Bogdan, Matt Musselme, Andrew Weirs, Kanal Kantaria, Brad Post, Kevin Snell, as well as rising seniors Kevin DeCola, Harrison Hope, Quentin Palmer, Mina Fahmy, and Patrick Offenbacher. The team was accompanied by sponsor and teacher Alan Skinner, as well as mom Lorraine Snyder. So we thank for all the support there. The next topics, board members, are all associated with our kickoff of the year. As I stated, first day of school is August 20th. The charter school is already up and running. They started last week. I was by there yesterday as I drove by. And we had a very robust kickoff with our new teachers. We've hired approximately 70 teachers to date. We still have about 7 vacancies, and using the words approximate here. It's a fluid number at this period of time. We're hopeful that we'll be fully staffed on the first day. But again, as I've shared with you previously, that critical need area is special education. We have about 5 vacancies in that arena right now. We have some science vacancies, a math vacancy. We're doing everything that we can to fill those positions, and I'm very pleased with the individuals that we hired. New teacher orientation was phenomenal. A great kickoff. Several of you have made reference to the activities that you participated in, and we're very pleased with the new people that are coming into the system in terms of advancing our culture of belief that all children can and will learn, and that every teacher is prepared to meet our young people on the 20th. So we're very pleased about that. We also have deviated from the past, and in the last couple of years we've shifted. We no longer post our bus stops in the newspaper. We now have that online. It's a very active, interactive process, and those are available on our school system website. If you go on to our homepage, you'll see that link that has the information. That's going very smoothly as well, and we're very pleased about that process. Again, communications are essential. I've said several times the first day of school is August 20th, and we're looking forward to that first day. I always get the questions regarding enrollment. We're hovering around the 18,000 mark. We're in the low 17,980, somewhere in that range. That will fluctuate with it. Our pre-K enrollment will fluctuate, but the reality is that we're monitoring our numbers. We're looking at our organizational plans. We're making certain that teachers are assigned. And the support is there for our teachers across the board as they continue to begin the process for the school year. Again, looking forward to another robust year of great academic achievement for our students. Again, doing it with our teachers, all doing what is best for our students in the classroom, and we're very excited about another year. So as we move towards that first day of school, I'm feeling very good about our briefings that are occurring with me on a regular basis, about our preparations. We've had several maintenance projects that are occurring. You've heard and followed the work that's going on at Spring Ridge. That process is very dynamic, very fluid in that sense. And if you could take your mind back to Leonardtown Middle School, the same model that was in place, the students will come into the building. More than likely, we'll see that the ceilings have been removed. It will have that real industrial sort of warehouse feel in many ways, but the work will occur during off hours. There will be no disruption to the instructional day, and our students are so resilient and so well able to adapt to the environmental changes that we know that there will be no shifts to the instructional focus in that sense. And as we know, there's been some coverage about the additions that are going to be placed in front of Spring Ridge for the STEM program. One of our reporters interviewed me yesterday and said, how's that going to look different? It's going to look completely different in terms of curb appeal, aesthetically different, and the architects do a phenomenal job with how that's going to look. But specifically, it will look different because of the addition And again, to all of you, board members, that removes all the vestiges of the remnants of the 70s design of open space classrooms. A phenomenal architectural design that will go down in the history books as one of the most effective architectural designs ever put in schools. So I'm pleased to put my stamp of approval to say that that is something that we say has taken a slow death, and we're finally putting an end to those open space classrooms, and we need to give a cheer for that, quite frankly. So we're very pleased about that. On that note, I would like to, we've been also very busy regarding hiring of positions administratively. I've told you we've had several vacancies throughout the summer, and one of our vacancies that we have is our Director of IT. Today with us is our new Director of IT, Dave Howard. If you would, come on up here and stand, if you would, next to me as I introduce you to our board members. And do you have the microphone, Sandra? Okay, she'll get it as we're talking. We'll have that come. Dave is standing obviously here to my left. This is our Board of Education. Dave Howard comes from us from the College of Southern Maryland. He had a very long title, which we're notorious for in education, as the Senior Executive Director of Information Technology Services at the College of Southern Maryland. Based in La Plata is where your position was. And we all interviewed him. I had the opportunity to talk to him individually as well. And he started on Monday, assuming the position of Director of IT for us, and we're very pleased about him coming to our school system after many years at CSM. I believe, if my memory is correct, lived in Charles County for a number of years as well. And we would like you to meet our board members, but we'd also like you to address them if you would, and just tell them a little bit more about you in terms of what I've already said. So go ahead.
I'm really looking forward to it. Again, my name's David Howard. I was at the College of Southern Maryland for 24 years. Went from Charles County Community College to CSM. And, you know, we're a regional community college, so very familiar with the area and the region. We hire a lot of the graduates from St. Mary's Public Schools and Charles, so I know we've had a really good rapport working back and forth, and I'm looking to continue that. You know, with our budget, you know, concerns we have, we need new young talent to help fix laptops at, you know, the right times. So I'm excited. I've met quite a few people here, and everyone here I can say is they're really nice people, and that's part of the attraction coming here. I was very welcomed here, and I'm looking forward to doing great things with the team. I feel like I have a strong team, and exciting. There's a lot of new challenges with technology in the classroom, working with the principals and teachers. So I'm here if anybody ever needs anything. I'm sure you can find me through the website, or anyone knows how to get a hold of me.
Absolutely. Well, we'll find you for sure. That is no problem.
Thanks so much.
We welcome you. If you would just go down through and introduce yourself to each one of the board members. I'll take that microphone, Dave. Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Thank you. Matthews, good to have you. Thank you.
Marilyn Crosby, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Taking care of business as we speak. So that's great. Good job there, David. Thank you. Dr. Raspa, lots more to say about other things regarding the opening of the school year, but we're right on track, and I take it back to you now, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martorano. All right, moving along this morning. There's no recognitions this morning. Moving right into public hearing. At this time, public hearing is now open. The public hearing is for the purposes of policies EED, JFB, JGB, JGBA, policy JGC, and JGD. Madam Secretary, has anyone signed up to give testimony? Okay, since there's no one signed up for testimony on these policies, the public hearing is now closed. Okay. Anyone sign up for public comment?
No one signed up.
Okay, no public comment. Moving on along, moving along into the consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Moving down into the first action item, interim superintendent of schools appointment. Dr. Martirano, the board would like to once again congratulate you on your new position as State Superintendent of Schools for West Virginia. The board and the community thank you for all you have done to make St. Mary's County Public Schools the best it can be for all students and staff. The St. Mary's County Public School System is the #1 school system in the #1 county in Maryland. And we are all thankful for your efforts to give our children the necessary experience to be college and career ready. And sir, for that we thank you. Board members, leave some time here if you'd like to make some comments at this time. You don't have to, but before we go any further, I just want to leave it open to you, Mrs. Allen.
We utilized a very inclusive and important process to hire Dr. Martirano. I'm very proud of the process that the board used at that time. And I think that it was evident from our first meeting, from our first interview, that you would bring to this school system what the board at that time believed was important to take a good school system to the next level, and you have done that. It's difficult to contemplate you leaving because as a group, we have done some incredible things in St. Mary's County. You can look at any of our accountability measures. You can look at the relationships that you have developed with our staff. You look that way, I'll look this way. This is very difficult for me because though there have been bumps and hills along the way, it has been an incredible journey. And because I have the opportunity through many of the things that I do on behalf of this board, but also on behalf of the Maryland Association of Boards of Education, up through the National School Board Association, it has been my distinct privilege to work with, meet, and have lengthy conversations with superintendents across this state and across this country. And as well as with board members, understanding from across the country what challenges they have faced in finding good people to lead their system as superintendent. And I can say with great authority that you are among the top 1% in this nation. And this school system and this community have benefited greatly by that. So we all knew this day would come. I didn't expect it quite so soon, but I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Allen. Mrs. Washington.
Thank you, Dr. Raspa. Dr. Martirano, I would like to thank you. I think he might need some tissue. For your 9 years of hard working and dedicated years of service to St. Mary's County Public School. You have been full of energy and enthusiasm, and you have been highly visible in the community and in the state of Maryland. You have initiated new programs which have provided educational options for our students. Our graduation rate is at a high of 91.5%, thanks to your leadership and teachers, supervisors, administrators, directors, parents, and everybody working together to make that happen. I didn't know Dr. Raspa was going to call on us to speak. You have been the longest serving superintendent in the state of Maryland, and at a young age. So there are many opportunities out there for other people who want to pursue the superintendency. You have been taken a leadership role on the state level and some national initiatives. The school has been placed, I always say it's the best school system in the universe. We got pretty close to that. We have been recognized for world accomplishments, state accomplishments, national accomplishments. And so you have really done a wonderful job. And yes, we have had some potholes, pitfalls, sinking sand. We all have challenges. But we work through those challenges because no one is perfect and no system is perfect. We appreciate everything you've brought to the community. I wish you well. That is an honor to be a state superintendent. And I wish you and your family well. You're going through a major transition here to be here, and you got used to the St. Mary's County way from moving up to a metropolitan area. You got to know raccoons and skunks and deer and hawks and snakes and
Lots of stories.
lots of stories to tell about wonderful St. Mary's County. So I just wish you the best, and God bless you and your family. And thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Mr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Rasmus. Well, it's bittersweet. Moving on to bigger and better things. We absolutely appreciate your leadership and everything you've done for the system. To flip back, you're kind of like the perfect tenant. You're leaving the place in much better shape than when you showed up. And thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Crosby.
And again, I'm going to repeat what Mary said. Under your leadership, we have gotten a graduation rate of 91.5%. And we should all know, we all know without a high school diploma, you're nothing. And that's a bad thing. The good thing is our children will have a high school diploma. Besides that, and the list is endless. I could go on and on and on like that record. The pathways, I think, are particularly great because not only do they offer children another interest, they help to lower your class sizes when you take children and put them in the into the pathways. I think that's important. On a personal note, my granddaughters have a bedroom at my house. And I was looking for alphabet, letters. And I came across this letter that Blake had written. It wasn't really a letter, because she did it when she was younger. It was a Christmas tree. And on the Christmas tree, she had Miki. I'm Miki. If some of you don't know, you ever say Miki, that means a lot to me. That's my nickname, because she couldn't say Marilyn at the time, and she couldn't say Grandma at the time, so she called me Miki. But I wasn't at the top. At the top was STEM. So that tells you something. So thank you, Dr. Martirano, for really engaging that concept within our curriculum. Thank you.
Sarita?
Thank you. I think I've known you since I was 5 or 6 years old. Being in public schools, you were always an important person to that. Additionally, you're a great role model for the students. You're very famous on Twitter. And additionally, adding to what other board members said about the programs, I'm in STEM, and that's been an important part of my life, and that's been very a big part of lots of students' lives, as I was the first class to go all the way through 4th grade, and now I'm going to be a junior, so and I will miss shaking your hands at graduation, as I know that was important to you, but the students will really miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarita. Okay, board members. Mrs. Crosby, is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Education accept Dr. Michael J. Martirano's resignation letter dated June 25th, 2014, in accordance with the terms of his contract with the Board of Education.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Board of Education has reviewed applications from interested individuals for the interim superintendent's position on Wednesday, August the 6th, 2014, in executive session. These applications were received in accordance with the Board of Education's advertised deadline. Interviews with candidates for the position of interim superintendent were conducted on Friday, August the 8th, 2014, in executive session, and consensus was reached. At this time, the Board of Education is ready to take action on the appointment of an interim superintendent of schools effective on the departure of Dr. Martirano, as the motion will describe, and until a permanent superintendent is hired. Board members, Mrs. Washington, do we have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education appoint Mr. James Scott Smith to the position of interim superintendent of schools for St. Mary's County, effective September 22nd, 2014. Mr. Smith shall serve as administrator in charge between September 13th and September 22nd, while Dr. Martirano is on leave. As interim superintendent, Mr. Smith shall serve through June 30th, 2015, and a superintendent will be appointed effective July the 1st, 2015, in accordance with Maryland law.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. Unanimous decision. Mr. Smith, please. Congratulations, and I'd like you very much to say something, if you would.
I'll make my comments very brief. I appreciate the confidence that I'm being afforded by the Board of Education, and I look forward to serving as the interim for this upcoming year. I know that we have a great school system. I know that we have great students. I know we have great teachers. And I know we have a fantastic year ahead of us that will require a lot of cooperation and a lot of hard work. And I look forward to serving students and staff with that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Back in your chair. Scare me there.
Yeah, he is kind of a big.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
And great work in West Virginia.
Thank you, sir.
We'll all be following your effort.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. The next,
Could we, just
Yes,
before we move
yes.
on, I would really like to thank all of the people who took the time to apply for this position. I learned a lot through the interviews. I think the folks who interviewed did an outstanding job, and it gives me great comfort to know that, and to be reassured about the wonderful people that we have working with us, around us, and in this community. And so, thank you. it was, in some ways, a challenging decision, but I certainly appreciate everyone who came forward, and just thank you, because it was very clear that the applicants we had put their heart and soul and great thought into the information that they provided to us, and I thank you for that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Allen. Any other comments from anybody? Cool. Board member? Okay. We'll move on then. Next action item, bus contracts and spare bus agreements for 2014-15 school year. Mr. Thompson.
How you top that, Jeff?
So that's a hard act to follow. I saw that on the agenda and I was like,
Thanks.
A little comic relief there.
okay, good morning.
Good morning.
It's that time of year. Yesterday we had a great bus driver in-service session with our bus driver in attendance, and I was appreciative of the superintendent, Dr. Martirano, being there and addressing the bus drivers, and he's always been supportive of us, so I thank you very much for all the years and all the support you've given to our department and our bus drivers in the county.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to be there.
Congratulations to Mr. Smith, and I look forward to working with you this year as we've worked together in the past. So hopefully we have very few early morning phone calls.
And I'm going to be one of the ones making a complaint from afar. Just to get things stirred up, give you some practice.
So today I'm here to discuss our bus contracts for this school year. So St. Mary's County Public Schools transports nearly 18,000 students to and from school each day. For the 2014-2015 school year, St. Mary's County Public Schools will utilize 42 independent contractors who own and operate a total of 254 school buses to provide this service. Of those school buses, 163 will be used for daily regular education routes, 24 for special education routes, and we have 67 that are spare buses. This year, 16 school buses are replacements, and those contractors will receive a new 6-year contract associated with the new bus. In addition, 19 6-year bus contracts have come to an end of their original contract, and those contractors will be awarded an additional 6-year contract. Also, 2 contracts have been transferred, and 3 new special needs contracts have been issued. And all spare buses will receive a 1-year agreement. Before I go further here, the 2 contracts that have been transferred, I just want to make mention. They are from Charlton Bus Service and Marshall Transportation Service. And those contractors, those were their final contracts, so they will no longer be contractors with the school system in the future. Mr. Tarleton, Reggie Tarleton, this past year, he became in poor health, and prior to his passing, he passed the contract along to another contractor. So he's well-known in this county, Mr. Tarleton is, and their family's been a very long stay, so we appreciate both those contractors for their long service with St. Mary's County.
Yeah, excuse me, I just want to say something about that. That goes back many, many years. I think those families were one of the first who had volunteered to drive buses back many, many years ago when people came off the farms and got in the bus to go ahead and pick up children and to bring them to school and bring them home. So they've been with us for many, many, many years.
Many years.
I just wanted to make that point.
Many
Thank
years. I think Mr. Holt, if you remember Mr. Holt, Dr. Rasper, that drove for Marshall Bus Service.
Yes.
I think he had, this year he decided he's not driving full-time anymore. I think he has well over 45 years driving for our county. So long terms.
Yes.
Long time. So I would ask the Board of Education to approve the bus contracts as outlined in the agenda and by the list provided.
Okay, board members, questions or comments about Mr. Thompson's presentation? Mrs. Allen?
I read through the bus contractor agreement, and other than the date being changed, was there anything else that was changed within the contract from years past?
Yeah, there is no adjustments. We made a change last year to reflect some requests from MABE, from our insurance carrier.
Right.
However, this year, there was nothing changed other than just the dates.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's all.
Mrs. Washington?
Good job. Thank you.
Mr. Matthews?
No questions, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mrs. Crosby?
No, thank you, Jeff.
All right. Sarita?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Okay. All right, board members, action item. Do we have a motion?
I
Aye.
move,
Go ahead.
I move that the Board of Education approve the bus contracts as outlined on the list provided by staff.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second?
Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Mr.
Thank you.
Thompson, thank you very much. Okay, action item 11.03, contract award for Phase 2 permanent erosion repairs for Esperanza Middle School. Mr. Hardwick and Mr. Clements. Mr. Hardwick, it's nice to see you here again.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Board members, today's action item is the last phase of the erosion repairs at Esperanza Middle School. The first phase was completed last spring with the installation of temporary drainage structures and temporary stabilization of the two areas where there were major slope collapses last year. The second phase is to install permanent drain structures, restore and fully stabilize the slopes, and to regrade and replace the softball field that was affected by the erosion. Last November, the board approved the design award for the Phase 2 repairs to the engineering firm of Whitney, Bailey, Cox, and Magnani. We thought at the time there were really two issues affecting the final design. One of those was a possibility that we would have to negotiate a drainage easement with an adjacent property owner. As we went into the Phase 2 design, we did our research in terms of the deeds and the title, and determined that the property involved was transferred to the school system back in the 1990s, and therefore we would not need a legal easement. The other issue that was a bit of an unknown for the final design was potential impact on wetlands. We did have to do a wetland delineation as part of the final design, but we determined that the proposed design did not impact the wetlands, and therefore we did not have to do a joint permit with the Army Corps of Engineers. Finally, in the course of the design and working closely with the Maryland Department of Environment, the design team was able to simplify the design. In the concept plan, we had 2 points of discharge from the slopes down into the areas of the wetlands. We actually reduced it down to just one discharge, which is going to save us a considerable amount of money in this project. So with the final plan approval by the Maryland Department of Environment, we advertised this project on eMaryland Marketplace on July 8th. We had 4 firms purchase plans and specifications, and all 4 firms submitted their bids on July 30th, 2014. This is the bid tabulation. The lowest bid was submitted by Locust Lane Farms at $206,215. That firm is known to us. They were a major subcontractor for site improvements at Evergreen Elementary School. This is a firm located in Upper Marlboro. They've been in business since 1982. They typically do about $8 to $9 million a year over the last 2 years. That's been their contract work. Most of their work is in the $1 million to $2 million range, and so you see $206,000 is a fairly small job for them. They are currently finishing up a $4 million project successfully with Anne Arundel County Public Schools. So with that being said, we see a considerable difference between the first two bidders. As is customary, as we, before moving to a board action, we contacted the low apparent bidder and asked them to verify their bids. They have done that. There were no mistakes in their bid. So I think there are a couple factors in explaining that differential. One is that Locust Lane Farms is really going to be self-performing almost 100% of this project, no subcontractors. Locust Lane has a considerable inventory in heavy equipment. They have an inventory of about $6.5 million. So they won't be renting any equipment to perform this work. And then thirdly, and probably most importantly in understanding this, is Locust Lane Farms is currently working at a local subdivision where there's a considerable amount of excess soil that has to be removed from that project just because of the grading. And so that gives them an opportunity to basically use that soil for the import that we need for this particular project. So with those three considerations, we believe that Locust Lane Farms is a responsible and responsive bid. Their surety is ranked with an A rating, was AM Best. So to kind of recap where we're at in terms of the budget for this project, the phase one construction was completed about $86,000 in the spring, a little bit less than what we were authorized. The phase two contract amount of $206,215. We are asking for a construction contingency of $80,000 for this project since it is moving a lot of soil as part of the scope. The design and construction administration for the project is about $100,000. So you see, when we're all said and done, we have a considerable fund balance for this project. We've worked this project through 2 phases, so we're pleased that we have that fund balance and hopefully a reversion back to the county at the conclusion of this project. With that being said, we're looking for a rapid mobilization, hoping to take advantage of the fall planning season, and hope to finish up the project by early November this year. So with that, I'll take your question.
Thank you, Mr. Harbert. Board members, questions or comments? Sarita, we'll start with you this time.
I don't have any questions or comments, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Crosby?
No, you're always saving us money and lots of it. Thank you.
Mr. Matthews?
Great job, sir. It's nice to see a big balance, and hopefully we don't use all that construction contingency.
That's true.
Thank you.
Mrs. Washington?
And thank you for explaining the difference between Locust Lane Farm and Dennis Anderson and the other bidders. Thank you.
Mrs. Allen?
As always, you take a very comprehensive approach. While it may appear, with respect to the local funds required, that conceivably people may have a hard time understanding that, but when you looked at the scope of this project and the challenges faced in ensuring that this was done well and completely, it is an understandable bid or a request for funds. And as we found with the track at Leonardtown High School, it's not really until you strip down through everything that you have a true and complete understanding of what exactly you're dealing with. And so I appreciate that you take all of that into account when you bring these projects forward, but that you are always very aware of doing this in an effective and an efficient way, and you are a good steward of the funds that are entrusted to you. So thank you very much. You always rise to the challenge, and that's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Dr. Moderano?
I'd like for you to complete the motion and the vote. I want to talk about something else after that, just make some comments if I could, so please do that piece.
Sure.
Brad, I'm going to put you on the spot, so be prepared.
Okay, board members, do we have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the contract award for Phase 2 permanent erosion repairs for Esperanza Middle School to Locust Lane Farms Incorporated in the amount of $206,215, and further authorize a construction contingency of $80,000.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Hardwick.
Thank you.
Brad, can I ask you, thank you, Dr. Rasmussen. May I ask you to go to the podium? Larry, stay up there. As you were referencing this document, you made reference to the local funding and a variety of other things. Obviously, these are part of the capital improvement project budget, the CIP, our capital budget. And we, as I've communicated to the board, we've received communication over the summer about the allocation of the percentages shift, so that funding is allocated from the state based upon the local wealth. And there's determination. So when I first got here, the percentage was 74.
When you got, yes.
It went down to
This
63.
year, 15 at 64.
And now, what is the information we just received?
The information we have, I mean, we're preparing the FY16 budget based on 59%.
59%.
And then
So,
the following year, we'll go to 58.
So there should be a gasp on that, you know, in that sense.
There was.
There was. What does that mean exactly, you know, overall, when we talked about the percentage there versus there? Because it's looked at individually based upon county, based upon wealth, and what exactly does that mean, going from 74 down to 59?
Well, the percentage of increase, of course, as we went from the upper 70s, you know, to the mid 60s, it was on Duke. About $3 million, you know, shift from state to local. So, I mean, we're looking at a big shift in dollars from state to local.
So the bottom line is that that shift that has occurred means that there's more expectation placed on the locals to make up the difference, correct?
That's correct.
And so what I want the board to understand is that there's not a separate pot of money. It comes under one big umbrella for the capital budget as well as for the operating budget. And that's parsed out based upon the county regarding that. A lot of other nuances go on with the capital budget as well. But I just want you to be aware that when that correspondence came across my desk in the last couple of weeks, that was a little disturbing to see how that was reallocated, as once we were at 74 down to 59. And that's a significant swing overall. So one more variable in terms of the challenges of future resource allocation as we look at that, because it is one pot of money per se. And again, there's bonds associated with that, and there's a variety of other things, but it puts an additional stressor on the development of the CIP for future years, correct?
That's correct. And at the next board meeting, we will have the state CIP before you, which has this increase, but there's also a 4% increase that the state's putting in there, seeing that what inflation will be. So we'll see both of those at our next meeting. And this project that you're acting on today is totally locally funded. So these type projects will have an effect because of the increase that has to be picked up from the state as well. And you know, Mr. Hardwick, his team works with me quite a bit in trying to do what he's done here and bring this project in the design and looking for the future, that it's going to be sustainable, but also at a savings to us.
But there's a variety of things that have to be taken into consideration with the future development of our CIP long range. And it also may mean that there's already been consideration and concern expressed to us about too many projects in certain years and funding availability, et cetera, where we push things out. Remember the conversation about Spring Ridge? We kept pushing that out and pushing it out. It may be that certain needs that are viewed as high priority may get pushed out even further, correct?
Well, yes, that's the possibility. I mean, you take our next would be a new elementary school, and it's running $27 million basically for the whole thing, and right there 6% that's going to be shifted, you know,
To the local.
So, yeah.
So, you know, again, the reality of the dollars always kicks in, and that's a very real piece that's been communicated over the last several weeks from the state to the locals, and I know that we've shared that with you through communication, but I wanted the community to be aware of that.
Where does, excuse me, where
Yep.
does the money that we once had go? Does it go to poorer counties?
Yeah, well, they give you the allocation, and all, this is not just that St. Mary's County was
Yes.
adjusted, all the other counties were addressed as well.
Is it in the fact book?
It is, it'll be in the fact book, and then we can get you the additional correspondence on it. But for example, one of the poorest counties in the state is Allegheny County. And their split at one point was like in the 90s, you know, overall, that the locals would pick up less than 10%. You know, there's an issue of concern for that, you know, and locally, because they're building different schools in different communities, and the state is picking up more based upon wealth indication. So that wealth factor kicks in again, and that's what it was based upon. So you can see that, and then it's reallocated and adjusted overall based upon the county's allocation of wealth.
You know, in the board update you sent to us, I noticed that there are a number of communities that are funded now at 100%. Somerset County being
Yep.
one of them. And, you know, that presents a challenge. We know that the state has a certain pot of money used for capital projects, but I think we also can't overlook the fact that, that along with this conversation about our capital budget, that this will put additional stressors on the commissioners in terms of providing adequate funding for our operating budget.
That's why I presented it, yep.
That's going to take some true consideration. We're going to have some conversation about.
Well, and that's, I
about
mean,
that.
exactly where, you know, I wanted you to go with that, is the fact that there's one pot of money
Yes.
that's allocated for those two areas. And so there has to be a consideration for that, because something will be stretched on this as a result. So just an awareness piece that will come home to roost in our development of our long-range CIP, state and local, in the future years. But I wanted you to have that, because we have not had the opportunity to discuss that since that correspondence has come forward. So thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Astor, for allowing me to talk about that.
And we'll have more discussion
Fine,
in the next
thank you.
meeting with the state.
There will be
CIP.
more, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Information items. We have one information item, and that's the FY 2015 July financial report. Mrs. McCourt.
Good morning, board members.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
For the July report, on the budget of $194 million, we have received year-to-date $21.9 million, and predominantly as a result of the first contribution distribution from the county government. The first revenues from the state will start in the month of August and will be reflected on your August report. On the expenditure side, there are only two items of note since it's early in the fiscal year. And the first being that the salary and fringe benefits associated with the 11 and 12-month employees are not reflected on this report, and that's because we're still paying off their last year's contract. They'll be reflected on your August report for the 11-month employees, and then starting in September, on your September report for the 10-month employees. So those items appear to be a little understated at this time, and that's typical. There is one category that has one particular line over budget, and that's under maintenance of plant for other charges. That is as a result of property damage due to an electrical damage repair. As a result of power surge at one of our schools that has been submitted to MAPE. However, in the interim, until we get that reimbursement, it will continue to be reflected on our reports. That shows an overage of $3,845. Are there any questions?
Any questions or comments of Mrs. McCourt? Mrs. Allen?
No questions at this time.
Mrs. Washington?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Matthews?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Mrs. Carson?
I'm all right too, thank you.
Serena?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
It's just, I mean, this is the starting point, so there shouldn't be any major conversations regarding this. It's just to commit and memorialize what it is to start the process off for this fiscal year. So thank you for your time on that.
Thank you, Mrs. McCourt. Future board meeting. The next regular board meeting will be on Wednesday, August 27th, 2014, at 5:30 in this room. And board members, before we adjourn, please remain here in the boardroom. We have to take a couple of pictures, and we're going to get Mrs. Williams to take care of that. With that, this meeting is adjourned.